One of the most compelling reasons to take psychedelic mushrooms is for psychological and emotional healing. In fact, psychedelic mushrooms are one of the most worthwhile things that you can work with to facilitate healing. And healing is one of the most worthwhile things that you can do for yourself. So in this video, you'll get an overview of how to use mushrooms to catalyze emotional and psychological healing. However, before we dig in, make sure you take a second to subscribe to Third Wave's YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of the latest education. Now, scientific studies and clinical trials show that psychedelics, in particular psilocybin, is effective for clinical issues like depression, end-of-life anxiety, PTSD, alcoholism, and addiction. However, you don't necessarily need a clinical diagnosis to benefit from the healing potential of psychedelic mushrooms. We all carry emotional wounds, unresolved traumas, and unconscious patterns that hold us back. And the challenge is that we're not always aware of them. They're often covered by powerful emotions and by defense mechanisms, and so we can't access them in everyday waking consciousness. And so what psychedelic mushrooms do is psychedelic mushrooms act as a lubricant for the unconscious. They open up the aperture of existence, which allows the issues that need to be resolved to come to the surface. And so when these issues can come to the surface, the patterns of why we do what we do become much clearer. Now, to facilitate this opening, you can either microdose or macrodose. They are very different experiences, but both are quite effective. If you're just starting, go in with a microdose and start low and go slow, build up from there. Make sure you have a core, clear intention that you're weaving throughout this, because psychedelics are non-specific amplifiers. So they'll amplify whatever is already in your awareness. So you really want to focus your intention on healing before you take the mushrooms. What do you want to heal? What patterns continue to show up? What issues need to be resolved? Do lots of journaling before and after to help that process, to lubricate the unconscious and the subconscious so you can easily resolve what needs to be resolved. And during the experience then, surrender and explore the emotions that arise. Don't resist, don't push them away, allow them to come up. Surrender to whatever needs to happen. And as you experience emotions or the thoughts or memories that are tied to emotions, you can release them. You can let those go. You can have that catharsis and you can breathe through the difficulty, the challenging spaces that might come up, the yucky spots that you might feel in your body. Because we're often very good at deceiving ourselves, at avoiding things, at keeping the difficult stuff packed away. And so when we work with a psychedelic mushroom, it opens up all of that. And so because of that, it's helpful to work with a therapist or a coach or a guide, no matter the dosage. And so if you want to work on healing with psychedelic mushrooms, in particular with microdosing, check out our video on microdosing for therapy, which will guide you through that process on how to work with a therapist. Now, one of our last points, integration is really important in healing work. It's like 80% of it. Prep, experience, 20%, integration is at least 80%, because it's easy to revert to old patterns. And so after this healing experience with mushrooms, make sure you sit with the experience, journal, contemplate, meditate, and find small, actionable shifts that you can make in your life to ground these new perspectives, to ground these insights, to ground this awareness into your life, because you really want to embody what it is that you're learning. You don't want it just to be another drug experience. You don't want it to be something you go into again and again and again. You really want to make sure it becomes embodied. Now, finally, if you'd like to work with a trained therapist, coach, or guide, go to our practitioner directory. It is a complete listing of vetted and trusted psychedelic coaches, therapists, and retreats to help you along your healing path. You're able to search by location, you're able to search by the type of coach, therapist, guide, clinic, retreat that you want, and it really is going to help you get the most out of your mushroom experience for healing. So thanks for watching this video today on how to heal with psychedelic mushrooms. Just as a reminder of what we covered, we talked about why mushrooms are so effective at healing, how we keep a lot of our trauma, or wounding or shadow tucked away in the unconscious or subconscious, and that when we actually have the courage to face those difficult aspects of who we are, it's so helpful to have a coach, guide, or therapist who can support you in that process. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to